At first, I want to make clear why am I doing this video. So I really love penguins, and as you can see, I have a little obsession, and this video is just my part for helping the penguins get a better life and not to die out.
Endangered penguins. There are 17 types of penguins, but which types are endangered? The yellow-eyed penguin. Yellow-eyed penguins come from southern New Zealand, from the Auckland Islands, and from the Campbell Island. There were only about 2,800 yellow-eyed penguins left in 2020, and the population is decreasing. Yellow-eyed penguins are endangered since 2000. Reasons for their endangerment. There are many reasons for their endangerment, so like introduction of predators. So as you can see here, there are natural predators like sharks, orca, and the New Zealand sea lion. But there are also unnatural predators which are introduced by humans like dogs, cats, ferrets, and rats. Habitat conversion is also a big problem for the yellow-eyed penguins because they get disturbed through roads, through farming, through the industry, and through mining. And changes in the marine environment are also a big problem for them because for the fishing they are also often bycatch, as you can see in the photo, and there's much overfishing, so they get less food. Tourism is also a big problem for them because for the tourism they get disturbed, they get stressed, and thought that the penguins are stressed. The parent penguins aren't able to feed their chicks, so the chicks don't get enough food. And diseases are also a big problem for them because there are natural diseases, regular diseases, but there are also new diseases which are introduced by human or pets. And weakened penguins, for example, penguins which don't get enough food for overfishing, are vulnerable to the diseases.
The emperor penguins. The emperor penguins are circumpolar spread. It isn't clear how many emperor penguins live, but the population is decreasing. They are new threatened in 2019 since 2012, and the population will decrease in the next few decades because Antarctic sea ice begins to disappear. And by the end of the 21st century, under current level of CO2 emissions, more than 80% of the population is projected to be lost. Despite this, major changes to sea ice prevalence are not projected to begin until 2050. Reasons for their endangerment, it's clear that it's the climate change. So it's clear the climate change destroys the habitat. And a good example is that the researchers from the British Antarctic Survey, so the BAS, studied very high resolution satellite imagery to reveal the unusual findings published at the 25th April 2019 in the journal Antarctic Science. And until that date, the Haley Bay colony was the second largest in the world, with the number of breeding pairs varying each year between 14,000 and 25,000, and they made around 5 to 9% of the global emperor penguin population. And the failure to raise chicks for 3 consecutive years is associated with changes in the local sea ice conditions. Emperor penguins need stable sea ice on which to breed, and this icy platform must last from April when the birds arrive until December when their chicks fledge. And for the last 60 years, the sea ice conditions in the Haley Bay site have been stable and reliable, but in 2016, after a period of abnormally stormy weather, the sea ice broke up in October, well before any emperor chicks would have fledged. And this pattern was repeated in 2017 and again in 2018 and led to the death of almost all the chicks in the site each season. And the colony at Haley Bailey colony has now all but disappeared, whilst the nearby Dawson Lambton colony has markedly increased in size, indicating that many of the adult emperors have moved there, seeking better breeding grounds as environmental conditions have changed.
The Snares penguins. The Snares penguins are belonging to a small island group called the Snares Islands. There are only 63,000 of them left, but the population is stable. They are endangered since 1994. The Snares penguins are classified as vulnerable because they are restricted to one extremely small island group, and hence is susceptible to stochastic events and human activities. Reasons for their endangerment are, for example, commercial fisheries. The Snares Islands are one side of a big squid fishery. For this, they get affected for research competition. And for the research competition, they may don't get enough squids and may have to change their diet. Also a big problem is that they are often bycatch. Oceanographic changes are also a big problem for the Snares penguins, because as you can see here, for climate change and global warming, the ocean temperature is increasing and the ocean currents are changing, and for this both, the prey is reducing. The southern Rockaper penguins. There are 2,500,000 of them left and the population is decreasing. They are vulnerable since 2008. It is suspected that the population continues to decline at a rapid rate. Reasons for their endangerment are less food availability caused by changing water temperatures, and the less food availability is caused by the changing water temperatures, because for changing water temperatures, the fish which they eat immigrates to other places, and so they have less food. The northern Rockaper penguins. The northern Rockaper penguins live mostly, so 85%, in the South Atlantic Ocean and are breeding at the Tristan da Cunha archipelago, so in the British territory of St. Helena, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha. The remaining 15% are found in the Indian Ocean on Amsterdam and St. Pauli Islands, and that are French Southern and Antarctic lands. There are 413,700 of them left and the population is decreasing. They are endangered since 2008. The northern Rockaper penguin has been classified as endangered, caused by their very rapid population decrease over the last 3 generations, so the last 30 years, but also because there is limited distributional range increases land and sea-based threats. Reasons for their endangerment are not completely clear, but the increasing sea temperature is a problem, because for that the fish which they eat may immigrate to other places, and so they have less food. There's also a reduction or replacement of prey, and one of the biggest problems is the oil pollution. The warming and water repellent of the feathers is withdrawn, so that they lose heat immediately and lose weight, for a negative energetic balance and dehydration. For the oil, they also get heavier. They also can't swim then anymore and freeze to death, starve, or drown. And the oil may cause chemical burns on skin and eyes, and when ingested, it can cause gastrointestinal ulcers and bleeding.
Speak! Lovelace, you okay?
Oh, he's possessed! Oh no!
It's a seizure! It's a seizure! Open the beak! Grab his tongue! No, he's choking. That thing around his neck, it's way too tight.
Well, why didn't you say so?
Come on,
On three!
Uno! Stop! Listen! No! Amigos! Amigos! Stop! You're hurting him. Oh!
Any better?
Lovelace, how did you get that thing around your neck?
It was bestowed on him.
By the Mystic Beans!
They didn't bestow it?
What? Oh, come on. You don't know what he's saying.
You were swimming and it just got caught around your neck.
Oh, no way. He's the guru.
Lovelace, did you ever actually meet a mystic being? Officially?
I knew it!
It's all a lie. But this belongs to someone. And if we could find them, I bet you they could take it off. Show me where you found it. I'm sure they could help us. You and me both.
2 words. 3 syllables. What is it? You're dying?
No, wait. Pass. Your past life.
You're passing gas. No, he thinks he's an elephant seal. No. Go over the mountains. Go to the mountains.
To the land of the elephant seal.
Beyond the land of the elephant seal.
Beyond the land of the elephant seal. Yay!
The Fiordland penguins. The Fiordland penguins only live in Australia and in New Zealand, but they only breed in New Zealand and they don't breed in Australia. There are only 12,500 till 50,000 of them left, and the population is still decreasing. They are near threatened since 2019. Reasons for their endangerment. So it isn't clear if the Fiordland penguins are endangered, but the high level of uncertainty in rate of population reduction means that the species is listed on the near threatened list. The erect-crested penguin. They are endangered and there are only 150,000 left of them, and the population is decreasing. The erect-crested penguins are endangered since 2000. This type of penguin is qualified as endangered because the population has decreased very rapidly over the last 3 generations and it's still declining. Aside from that, there is a very small breeding range which is restricted now to just 3 locations. Reasons for their endangerment? Yeah, it's clear, it's the small breeding range. So as you can see here, they only have 3 places where they breed, as I already told. So on the Bounty Island, on the Antipodes Island, and on the Campbell Island. The Galapagos penguins. The Galapagos penguins live on the Galapagos Islands. There are only 1,200 Galapagos penguins left. They are endangered since 2000. And they are endangered caused by marine perturbations, which probably becomes more extreme for climate change. Aside from that, the species has a small population and they also only breed at a certainly place on a few points. But the population increased rapidly over the last 31 years, so the last 3 generations. Reasons for their endangerment are climate change and severe weather, human disturbing and intrusions, and invasive and other problematic species, genes, and diseases. So, as you can see here, there are natural predators of the Galapagos penguins, like the Galapagos short-eared owl and the Galapagos buzzard. But there are also unnatural predators or invasive species, like dogs, cats, and rats. Pollution is also a very big problem, because as you can see, plastic pollution is a very big problem because it causes less food, poisoned food, and dangerous tangents. But what's interesting to know is that the microplastic isn't very dangerous for the penguins, so the most dangerous thing are the tangents. African penguins. African penguins can be found in large colonies along the southwestern rocky coast of Africa, from Namibia to Port Elizabeth and many of the surrounding islands. And the largest colony is located on Dyer Island. There are only 41,700 left of them and the population is still decreasing. They are endangered since 2010. Their population declines rapid as a result of the commercial fisheries. The rate of decline has increased in the last years. Reasons for their endangerment are commercial fisheries, there is national and international trade with the penguins and their products, pollution, and human intrusions and disturbance.
There are a lot of movies about penguins. Then there's these birds. Meet the endangered African penguins. Every summer, they descend on Simonstown, South Africa. These birds are taking over this town with full VIP access. In this place, they are gods. They have 6 months to choose a partner, stake a claim, and make more penguins. Sounds easy enough, right?
I did an interview with a zoo worker in Germany about Humboldt penguins, and here are the information which she gave me. So, Humboldt penguins live in Australia and in New Zealand, but they only breed in New Zealand and not in Australia. They eat 6 to 8 herring a day. One Humboldt penguin weighs 6 to 8 kilograms. A pair keeps together until one dies, and then the other one searches another partner. The feathers are feeling cold and rough from outside. You can't differentiate female and male Humboldt penguins, so you need a blood test, and today it's possible with the blood from a plucked feather. In Germany, it isn't too warm for them, it's either too cold. If it's too cold, then they don't eat until it's warmer in the zoo. Each Humboldt penguin has dark spots on its tummy, which is special and unique for the penguin. They are group birds, but they fight sometimes for breeding caves or in mating season. A baby Humboldt penguin in the zoo must get stuffed the first 1 or 2 times with fish so that it learns how to eat. They grow until 60 centimeters, and in the zoo they become 15 to 20 years old. And they lay 2 eggs once a year in the zoo. So here's a video of the penguins that are the adult penguins. Yeah. And Humboldt penguins, why are they endangered? So there are only 23,800 Humboldt penguins left. They are vulnerable since 2000 and the population is still decreasing. And there is a major population in Chile, and if that population doesn't decrease much, then they won't die out. And reasons for their endanger are climate change, trash, human disturbing and intrusions, and pollution. And here's another video of the baby Humboldt penguins. So a third thing what you could do is demonstrating at Fridays for Future for the penguins. This is a good way to help making the politicians notice the big problems like climate change and energy waste for the penguins, and so they maybe start doing something. Barely every town has Fridays for Future, and even if there isn't Fridays for Futures for penguins, you could maybe start with one or do other things at Fridays for Future for climate change and less energy waste. So a third thing what you could do is demonstrating at Fridays for Future for the penguins. This is a good way to help making the politicians notice the big problems like climate change and energy waste for the penguins, and so they maybe start doing something. Barely every town has Fridays for Future, and even if there isn't Fridays for Futures for penguins, you could maybe start with one or do other things at Fridays for Future for climate change and less energy waste. And the last thing, so the third thing you could do is to spend money for an organization which helps fixing problems of the penguins, like the WWF. So the WWF does not exactly do something just for penguins, but they help many animals like whales with similar problems. So if you spend money for them, you also have the penguins. And what they did, for example, is since 2016, a large part of the Ross Sea near Antarctica has been protected. Fishermen's shovels have since stayed away from an area 35 times larger than the Netherlands, and there many emperor penguins and Adélie penguins live. There are also orcas, humpback whales, and seals. And since 2020, there's also been no fishing for krill around Hope Bay, an ocean area of 4,500 square kilometers of the Antarctic Peninsula. And this is important for the protection of, for example, the Adélie penguins and whales. So that was my video. I hope you liked it and learned a bit about penguins, and just thanks for watching.